ITA for telling my daughter she will have to move out of my house if I get a divorce. It's because of her lies after her stepdad saw her naked. I created a throwaway account due to the situation, but I need to know what to do because I'm receiving calls and texts from family members calling me an ass for not being on my daughter's side. My husband and I have been married for a little over 5 years now. My daughter, who is 19, has an okay relationship with him. It's not exactly a father-daughter bond, but more of an advice-giving relationship. I have never picked up on anything weird from my husband towards my daughter, and my daughter has never said or insinuated anything inappropriate either. On Thursday, my husband and I were watching a movie in the living room. We paused the movie when he got up to use the bathroom. I heard him knock on the door twice, literally 3 knocks each time, a couple of seconds apart. It was loud enough for me to hear him knocking from the living room. The next moment, I heard screaming. I rushed to the bathroom and saw my daughter completely naked, covering herself and yelling at my husband to get out. I didn't see everything that happened, but what I did see was my husband literally tripping over his own feet while struggling to close the bathroom door. I asked him what happened and he said he knocked but nobody answered, so he went in and saw my daughter naked in front of the mirror. He tried to get out as quickly as possible. After my daughter calmed down, I asked her for her side of the story. She said she was changing when my husband walked into the bathroom. I asked her why she didn't answer him when he knocked. She claimed she didn't hear it because she had her AirPods in and was listening to music. We sorted out the situation. My husband apologized to her and explained that he thought the bathroom was empty when he walked in. She even hugged him and apologized for yelling. The problem now is that my daughter got family members involved and they are now calling my husband a creep. I received a call from my sister berating me for still having my husband in the house. When I asked her what she meant, it turned out that my daughter spun a completely different story, leaving out the fact that she was listening to music with her AirPods. She told everyone that she answered him and that he still walked into the bathroom to look at her. We have cameras in our hallway that prove my husband did knock. You can see it on video, but the cameras have no audio. I sat my daughter down and asked her about it, but she denied saying anything like that or telling anyone anything. I got upset and asked how her aunt knew what happened if she hadn't said anything. She fell silent and then admitted that she talked to her niece about it, who must have told her mother. I asked her why she lied about what happened and made my husband look bad when he did nothing wrong. Again, she denied lying about anything until I told her what my sister had said. At that point, she started to cry and apologized, saying she was just talking and making up scenarios with her niece. The whole day yesterday, I received calls and texts from my family members as the story spread. The wrong story is circulating and my husband is being portrayed as a creep to everyone. I sat my daughter down again and had her read some of the things being said about my husband. I told her she needs to fix this because her lies are what caused it. She refused, saying she didn't spread this information and that she only told her niece. She doesn't want to say anything to anyone because she fears they will think badly of her. She insisted that they know my husband and that this will just blow over. However, everything escalated when my husband walked into the living room with his bags packed and said he was going to stay with his parents for a while because he doesn't want to be in this situation anymore, where he is made out to be this kind of person. My daughter broke down and apologized repeatedly, saying she would fix it, but my husband still left. I told her that if I get divorced because of her lies, she will have to move out of my house. I made it clear that she better fix what she did and tell everyone what really happened, because I will not lose a man who loves and cares for me like my husband does over lies. She asked me to help her, but I told her no. She isn't a child anymore, and her lies for attention caused this situation. This is on her. I've already tried, and now I'm also being accused of taking my husband's side and not providing a safe space for my daughter. I don't know what to do. My husband has asked for space, and my daughter is inconsolable at the moment. I am not in the best state myself. Sorry if my post is all over the place. I don't even know if my title is correct. I have reread and reread it, and it still doesn't make sense to me. User Yoshi and Ames said, I would never move back to a home where someone has spread false sexual misconduct stories about me for no reason and still lives there. I'd never be okay being alone with that person, even if they said it straight, even if they were sorry, even if I fully forgave them. Those kinds of rumors can and will ruin a person's entire life. There is no guarantee in any way the rumors won't continue, spread further, get twisted, or that the person won't lie again, starting it all over. What's to stop her from setting it straight? But in an effort to save face, leaning on, I don't want to have to move, so I have to take it back. No, I don't know why I'd lie. That doesn't make sense. Just trust me, I did lie though. People will talk. The horse is out of the barn. What's done is done. No matter what happens now, people will always question it, suspect him, and suspect you are protecting him. However it plays out, your daughter needs to talk to a professional. Being sorry and learning the hard way isn't enough. She needs professional help to figure out why she chose to lie, why she told her niece this, and why she repeatedly doubled down when she was caught. User JJD said, "If I were your husband, I would never come back. Lies like this are severely damaging." User Perpetually Exhausted said NTA, "But you should be aware that even if she does come clean, your husband has every right not to want to live in the same house as her again. You may still have a very hard decision to make. She lied and had him labeled as a predator and saw nothing wrong with allowing that to continue as long as she didn't look bad for lying." Update. Sorry for only updating now, but I'm not in the best of places at the moment, and it has taken me a couple of days to get my thoughts together. I don't know what to do anymore. My husband has asked for a divorce. First, let me answer a couple of questions that came up repeatedly. We have locks on every door in the house. I don't know why my daughter didn't use the lock on the door. The cameras inside the house aren't pointed at any door except for those at the front and back doors. The other camera is at the end of the hall, and you can see every door in the hallway from that camera. We have a bathroom in our room, but we can't use it at the moment because the water is completely shut off due to renovation. My husband asked for a divorce. On Friday, he came back home and asked to talk. During our conversation, he showed me his phone, and some of the things my family members were saying about him were just outright horrible. They were calling him a pedophile and asking how many times he had taken a peek before. I don't recognize my family anymore. I understand if he had actually done something, but he hasn't. The hatred they are showing over a stupid mistake tells me they refuse to listen or have hated him from the start, and are now using this to try and get rid of him. He said he can't ever come back, and this has now started to affect his work life as well. He was called into HR to explain, because some of my family members have called his office. Luckily, they haven't done anything and refuse to do so until a case is brought against him. They know my husband very well, and I think believe him because he is still working. During our talk, he explained that he does love me and still does. He is happy I stood up for him, but my daughter's actions have caused too many problems, accusations, and made him scared. He explained that he sat at the office and at his parents' home every day, just waiting for the police to show up and arrest him. He said her lies broke him and he can't see a way to come back from it. I asked him to reconsider and suggested we could go to counseling, but he refused, saying everything is too broken to fix. I told him that I would kick out my daughter and explained everything I did and told my daughter to do. However, he said I'm missing the point. His life could have been completely ruined because of a lie. My family will never trust him again and will always harbor hatred or suspicions about him, especially now that my daughter wants to clear things so long afterward. They will think we forced her to do it, which will just make things worse. He said he will always remain the creep in their eyes. I asked what if I cut off my family and we moved away, showing him the messages I had sent to everyone who refused to listen and whom I had blocked. He asked about my daughter. I told him again that I would be kicking her out and she would be staying with my parents from now on. He asked if we moved away, would I abandon my daughter then, because he doesn't want to be near her or be alone with her at all. I asked him to reconsider and suggested we could go to counseling, but he refused, saying everything is too broken to fix. I told him that I would kick out my daughter and explained everything I did and told my daughter to do. However, he said I'm missing the point. His life could have been completely ruined because of a lie. My family will never trust him again and will always harbor hatred or suspicions about him, especially now that my daughter wants to clear things so long afterward. They will think we forced her to do it, which will just make things worse. He said he will always remain the creep in their eyes. I asked what if I cut off my family and we moved away, showing him the messages I had sent to everyone who refused to listen and whom I had blocked. He asked about my daughter. I told him again that I would be kicking her out and she would be staying with my parents from now on. He asked if we moved away, would I abandon my daughter then, because he doesn't want to be near her or be alone with her at all. Before I could answer, he said again it's better for us to get divorced. He said, I will never ask you to abandon your daughter. I will never expect you to do something like that, but I don't want her anywhere near me. If you abandon your daughter, I don't know if I could ever look at you the same afterwards, even if it was for my sake. The only solution here is for us to get divorced. My daughter came running down the hallway into the living room crying. I think she was listening to our conversation. Before she could get a word out, my husband jumped up from the couch and put his hands out, asking her not to get near him. He said, "Before you say anything, I will start to record the conversation now," and took out his phone. I think I saw something break in my daughter's eyes at that moment when the realization of everything hit her all at once. She asked my husband to forgive her, saying she never meant for things to get so out of hand. She was just making up scenarios with her cousin, and her cousin was the one who ran with it. My husband asked her why she didn't clear it up immediately. She said she didn't think it would go this far and thought it would just blow over because everyone knows him. He showed her his phone and asked her to read some of the messages, and my daughter went completely silent. We talked for about 4 hours. In the end, my husband said he will give us 3 months to move out of the house because it is his house. My daughter can keep the car because it was a gift, and he will finish paying this year's tuition but will not pay anything going forward. He said he hasn't gotten a lawyer yet, but told me to get one. He would like to do this without a lawyer, but said I can get one if I want. He said he will be fair in the divorce and doesn't harbor anything against me, but he can't stay in the relationship. My daughter was just sitting on the floor looking like a ghost, and I couldn't just say anything while listening to him talk about divorce and what would be split. He was talking like the last 5 years were nothing and it was just easy to move on. The best way to describe it was like he was returning something to a store. He left the house and I just sat on the couch. I don't know if I was crying, talking, or what. I can't remember much as everything was muffled around me until my daughter started to full on cry, saying sorry, sorry, sorry over and over again, lying on the floor. I don't know how long I sat on the couch, but when I got up, I saw my husband's car still in the driveway. I looked out the window and could see him full on crying in the car. Seeing that completely broke me. My daughter and I haven't talked since my husband was here on Friday, not a word to each other. My family members have shown up to the house to apologize because apparently my daughter has suddenly cleared everything up and shared the camera video with family members. Every time they show up, I just close the door in their faces. I have gotten Facebook, Instagram calls, and texts from them, and when I block them, they keep making new accounts or use different numbers. I don't want to lose my husband. I really don't. He is the first man I have ever met who has actually treated me with kindness, respect, and love, and now it's all over. I have tried to talk to him and convince him to go to counseling with me, but every time I've tried, he sends back, I can't take the risk. I have tried to meet him in person, but he just says it won't be a good idea. I have gone to his parents' house, but they refuse to let me see him. I have gone to his work to talk to him, but I was told he was sent home by his boss. I truly don't know how to fix this. Having my daughter move out now won't work because I need to be out of the house as well. I don't want anything from my husband. I just want him. I haven't talked to a lawyer yet, but I don't think I can keep the house as he owned it before we moved in. I really want to fix this. I still want to kick my daughter out of the house, but will he still give me a chance to fix it, even after what my husband said about me abandoning my daughter and not seeing me the same afterwards? I don't know anyone. Am I really going to lose a wonderful man? Edit, I forgot how Reddit fixates on one thing, the comment about the house. I have no intentions of trying to take his house or anything like that. It's not my house. I had questions in my previous post about the house, and I think I just answered it. I'm not going to try and take the house. He owns it and has owned it before we got together. I have no right to the house and will not try to take the house. I hope this clears it up. Update 2. It's been a while and I see a bunch of people asking for updates. I wasn't in the mood and I've been crying myself to sleep every night. I don't know what to do anymore. I've lost my husband, my family, and my daughter. Thank you to everyone who has reached out. It's official. I'm getting divorced. I was served with the divorce papers and my husband wants nothing to do with us anymore. I have moved out of the house and am currently staying with a friend until I can get my life back in order. I have cut all contact with my family, but they still try to reach me from different numbers or profiles on Facebook and Instagram. I don't know how long I can continue staying with my friend because her life is now being impacted as well, with my family members showing up at her apartment. I would like to find a different place to stay, but my salary won't cover everything I need. My husband covered all our bills previously, but now I have to manage everything myself. My daughter packed her things a little over a week ago and moved away. I don't know where she is at the moment and her friends are refusing to tell me anything. She tried to talk to my soon-to-be ex-husband and he got a restraining order against her. She violated the order and was arrested. I don't know what went on in her head. I tried to talk to her, but she admitted that she would fix everything. However, as I mentioned, my ex got a restraining order against her and then had her arrested when she kept approaching him. My daughter will have to drop out of college because my ex is now refusing to continue covering any expenses for her and has retracted his offer to pay. He sent me a message saying he's done. Since I didn't respect his wishes, I had to leave his house immediately, and my daughter also went against his wishes, so he is retracting everything from her as well. She is on her own now. He said if either of us continues harassing him, he will open a case against my daughter for defamation. I don't have enough money for myself at the moment with my job and all the bills, so I definitely can't assist her. She packed up in the middle of the night and just left after I told her she would have to drop out and get a job. My soon-to-be ex-husband became completely emotionless and cold in the last couple of weeks and refused to talk to me about anything other than the divorce. He said he would have been supportive and assisted me for a while until I could get on my feet, but it's clear we only want to use his generosity, so he is done. He wanted to void the prenup we have, but will now follow the prenup to the letter, meaning I will basically get nothing in the divorce. I don't want anything. I just want him back. Even with everything that happened, I still want my husband, the kind, caring, sweet man I had. I want him back. I need him to come back. I told him my daughter moved out of the house and asked again if we could try to fix our marriage, but he didn't even respond. The last message I got from him was him asking if I signed the divorce papers yet or if I got a lawyer to look over the divorce papers. He wants to be done with this and move on because it's clear to him that no one in my family, including me, respected him at all. In that message, he also said I should get my family to back off because they are still harassing him with messages, calls, and emails, and he is sick of it. If they don't stop, he will report them as well. To the people who keep asking why I didn't do anything when the lies started to spread, I did everything I could. I was accused of protecting my creep of a husband, and the video didn't help because I did send it to some of my relatives, but it has no audio. It only shows him knocking and then walking in. My daughter said she answered him and he still went in. This next post was made by a throwaway account in April of 2021. The post is titled, "My boss is having an affair with our assistant, and I'm friends with his wife. I work as a project manager at a small business with about 25 employees and have been in this role for more than 6 years. I was referred to the position by Katie, a friend from a hobby club I belong to. She learned I'd been laid off from my last position and offered to introduce me to her husband, John, who owns a consulting firm in my field. After a standard interview process, I was hired and have been here ever since. About 18 months ago, we were looking for a new administrative assistant for the business. Instead of advertising the position like we normally would, John hired Tammy, the daughter of a family friend. She was supposedly a recent grad who was very eager, would need some training, but would be a great addition to the team. From her first day, it was clear that she was not the right fit for the position. Her computer and communication skills were quite poor. She took forever to complete basic tasks, dressed inappropriately for an office environment, and frequently played on her phone. She was also coming in late or leaving early every day. Every attempt to provide her with instruction or feedback was met with confusion or eye-rolling. Another manager even asked her for help stuffing envelopes for a promotional event, and she laughed in his face. I went to John and asked him what exactly Tammy's role was supposed to be since she was refusing to do much of anything. He said not to worry, he would have a word with her. The next day, he told me he would be managing her directly from then on and that if I needed something that fell under the assistant's umbrella, I could email him and he would see to it that it was done. He had never taken over management of an assistant before this, which felt suspicious. Within a few weeks, it became clear that John is having an affair with Tammy. John has never admitted it to me, but they drive in together every day, have hours-long meetings in his locked office every afternoon, and whenever she is at her desk, she is shopping online or browsing social media. If anyone asks Tammy to do something for their team, she goes straight to John's office, and a few minutes later, he sends a message saying that someone else will need to handle that task. My emails to John regarding my team's administrative needs just get ignored, and I wind up doing those tasks myself or handing them off to one of my team members. I've tried talking to John about how this is impacting our workflow and how we really need a true assistant, but he snaps that these tasks are not so urgent that we can't handle them ourselves within our own teams. His reliability as our CEO and decision maker has plummeted as well, leading to low morale. I've been quietly trying to find another job since early 2020. COVID threw a wrench in those plans, and I currently have very few prospects. My dilemma is what to do about Katie. I am very confident that they don't have an open marriage. She truly thinks Tammy is an assistant at our workplace. I have not told her about the affair, partly because it's not my business and partly because I need to protect my job. I am the only person at work who would possibly tip her off about this, and it would be obvious it was me if I were to tell her. I feel absolutely awful keeping this secret and guilty when she earnestly asks me how work is going at our hobby group. What do I do? Update. I tried to keep a low profile at work as much as possible and continued plugging away at my job search while trying to ignore whatever was happening with Tammy and John. Eventually, the affair came to light. John was poorly covering his tracks at home, and my friend, his wife, eventually figured out that something was going on. They have now separated and are going through a very contentious divorce. John and Tammy are openly a couple now and are expecting a baby this summer. My friend was understandably devastated, but she did not ask me if I knew or suspected anything. She told our hobby group, which has rallied around her with support. I am happy to report that I accepted a new position a few months ago and am now working in a similar role with a different organization. The new company is larger and much better managed, and my new boss communicates transparently and views hiring as a process for meeting business needs rather than doing personal favors for people. It is such a relief. I do not know anyone here personally and have resolved not to mix friendships and business again in the future if I can avoid it. A deleted user said OP did the right thing by keeping their head down and staying out of it. Reddit loves to concoct grand tales about being the hero of a story, but you have to eat. Don't ever jeopardize your livelihood for another person, to be honest. User Nodeless said, one thing I have learned over the years is to never become outside work friends with anyone you work with if possible. Don't share social media or give them more than the bare minimum about your personal life. Enjoy your friends and family outside of work, you'll be less stressed. User Alpha Geek said, I saw something similar happen at the first company I worked for about 10 years ago. It was a 40-person office and a project manager was having an affair with our receptionist. The project manager, his wife, the company president, and a few other senior staff members all went to college together and were very close. The project manager's wife also did consulting work for us from time to time and knew pretty much everyone in the office. One weekend, the wife found out about the affair and told the president. It basically became an ultimatum and they fired the receptionist first thing Monday morning. Of course, gossip started flowing. No one knew anything at first, but after people found out, they began connecting the dots. Apparently, the project manager and the receptionist were having rendezvous during work hours at the hotel next door. They were also flirting through email, deleting emails in their inbox but not in their sent items. This final post was made in the Off My Chest subreddit by a user named Efficient East. The post is titled, My husband is having an affair and I'm okay with it. My husband Frank is the most caring, loving, and attentive man I've ever known. The problem is, I love him like a friend or a brother. I care for him. I want him to be happy, but I don't love him romantically. He knew this and still married me to save me from my abusive family. He did hope I'd develop feelings for him, but I never did. At least, not in a romantic sense. We are great partners otherwise in life and business, and I enjoy having sex with him. We talked about the possibility of a divorce, but I never wanted one. I'm perfectly fine the way things are, and a divorce, even the most amicable, would bring problems to our business and life that I really don't need at the moment. That said, I didn't want to make the man who literally saved my life feel trapped, so I gave him the freedom to be in a relationship with other women. For 2 years, he didn't do anything, but 3 months ago, he came to me and confessed there was a woman he was developing feelings for who reciprocated those feelings. He was feeling ashamed about this, but I hugged him tight and reminded him that I want this for him and want him to have a partner who loves him the way he loves them. It feels perfectly fine. I was afraid he'd neglect me from then on, but he's as attentive, affectionate, and caring as ever, and I can see this relationship is really doing him good. She knows he's married and is fine with it. Although I never wanted to meet her, I did some background research and by all accounts, she is a good, well-adjusted woman. So I'm not worried about her hurting Frank or turning him against me. She's not interested in marriage, which is exactly what I needed. Frank is happy, and this makes me happy in turn. I told him I would be open to discussing separation if his relationship with this woman gets more serious. but things are fine now. Update. My husband and I have an open marriage. I opened it because I realized that while I love and care for him as family, I never actually loved him romantically. He married me to get me away from my abusive family, and in doing so, he literally saved my life. Now, we have a life and flourishing business together. He broached the idea of a very amicable divorce, mostly so we could both find romantic partners, but I have no such need at the moment, and I don't wish to have a divorce. It would be too costly and would impact our business and taxes, and I don't want to really lose him. So I opened the marriage and allowed him to find himself a girlfriend. He found someone after a couple of years, and when he told me, I was happy for him. The girl is fine with our arrangement and doesn't desire marriage, so I am comfortable. But I have been thinking recently. I am not jealous and I don't mind at all when he spends the night at her place. Yet I wonder, why don't I really want to let him go? Why do I still want to and continue to have with him? Why am I happy he is happy, okay with another woman having him, but still want to keep him bound to myself? Don't get me wrong, we are all happy and satisfied with our arrangement, but I am starting to wonder if I might be aromantic or if this is really my way of loving him. Thank you all for your opinions. User No, you said, you kind of reminded me of my grandmother. She was asexual and hated sex. She never even kissed my grandfather. However, she wanted a large family. My grandfather's first wife had died and he had 4 small children. They married with the understanding that sex would only be for procreation, and my grandfather could have girlfriends for sexual needs. Well, they had 12 children together and a long, happy marriage. My grandfather had many girlfriends and it was talked about openly. My grandmother was even friends with some of them. My point is that sex, romance, and marriage are complicated. As long as you are getting what you want and are happy, it is all good. Note, this would never work for me, but I respected the fact that it worked for my grandparents. User Professor Shameless said, OP has a best friend who is also a sexual partner. It's a perfectly fine and healthy type of relationship to have. As long as everyone involved is honest, informed, and happy, there's no reason to complicate things by putting a magnifying glass on it. If complications arise, deal with them as they come. Would I be the asshole for divorcing my wife for accusing me of cheating on her? Me and my wife Grace have been married for 13 years and together for 16. I met Grace around the time I got out of the military. It was a medical discharge and I met her while I was in the hospital for surgery. She was a nurse on the floor where I was staying, a single mom who had been divorced for a couple of years. After leaving the military, I went back to school and now I work from home as a software engineer. We started dating and took it slow during the first couple of years because of her daughter Maya, who was 5 at the time. Grace is still a nurse and Maya is now in college. Until last month, I would have said that our marriage was pretty solid. We've had arguments. I admit I was not great at housekeeping when we first moved in together because I wasn't used to how much kids can mess things up around the house. But other than that, things were good. There were no step-parent issues. I had an active role in Maya's life because her father lives overseas for work. We went on dates and intimacy has always been great. We wanted kids, but it just wasn't in the cards for us. Honestly, I am a bit blindsided. I have had friends who were blindsided by divorce, but I never understood how it happened. Usually, there were problems they glossed over until suddenly their wives left them and they just didn't see it coming. The rest of us could see it from a mile away. So here I am saying the same thing, wondering if I just missed something huge. In the past few months, Grace has been more stressed than usual. Ever since COVID-19, she has been burnt out. I've asked her multiple times if she wanted to quit her job, at least for a couple of years. I thought the burnout was coming to a head. She was withdrawn and angry. She snapped at me constantly and ridiculed Maya over everything, but she's my wife. She was traumatized by the pandemic and both Maya and I were understanding. We could manage with just my salary, so last month I sat her down to suggest again that she quit and take some time off to heal. Then everything blew up. She started yelling at me, saying that she knew what I was doing and that she had known for months. She claimed to have proof. At first, I didn't know what she was talking about, but it didn't take long to realize she was accusing me of infidelity. I can't lie, I was furious. I opened my phone, handed it to her, and told her to go through it. Then I got my laptop, unlocked it, and told her to check that too, all while she continued shouting about some other woman. I don't have traditional social media accounts. I'm on Lobsters, Hacker News, and I have a Reddit account. I told her to check everything. There's no secret Facebook or Instagram or whatever. No messages from anyone. I opened Discord and even Slack. Everything I could think of, but she wouldn't even look at it. She just got angrier and angrier until she picked up my laptop and threw it. That's when I'd had enough and left. I went to my parents' house. All the while, Grace was texting and calling me, leaving more unhinged messages about this woman she believed I was with. When I got to my parents' house, I called her once and told her that I needed a few days because I was too angry to talk to her. My sister called the next morning to tell me that Grace had called her multiple times as well to see if I was really there. After a few days, I called Grace to talk, and at first the conversation was productive. She apologized for throwing the laptop, but said I made her so angry because I was being so calm. I told her I was not calm. I was furious because I was being accused of cheating on my wife. However, it was either try to talk it out or start shouting, which I didn't think was a good idea. Then she got angry and told me I was twisting her words, and things fell apart quickly. She started going on and on again about how she knew I was cheating and that she had proof. I asked her what proof she had because I would like to see it. I don't remember how we got there, but she said she was going to send everything to the lawyer, and I said fine. Send a copy to mine because this was going nowhere. She got really quiet after that and asked if I was serious. I told her I wasn't going to stay in a marriage where my wife thinks I cheated on her but won't tell me why. We ended the call there, and I've been at my parents' house since. My dad is on my side. My mom thinks Grace is just having a rough time and that we can talk this through. My sister is upset that she got dragged into it, so she thinks we're both at fault, and Maya is miserable because she's being torn between me and her mom. I feel like maybe I jumped the gun and should have stayed calmer. Edit. My morning meetings are finally over and I need to concentrate on my job, so I'm going to log out for the day. I'm going to talk to my mom to see if she'll talk to Grace and suggest therapy, couples therapy, etc. I believe those of you who suggested there are underlying reasons are correct. Something is causing this. I just don't know if it's something I've done, stress in her life, or if it's full-on projection. I don't think it is, but you never know. I'll assure Maya again that she has a place here no matter what. As far as I'm concerned, she's my daughter, and of course, she has a place here if she needs it. However, I also won't try to pressure her since that's her mom, and I know this situation is pulling her in two directions. Edit 2. Okay, so I took a quick break and thought I'd come back to read a couple of comments, but there are way too many to read. However, there is an overall theme to them, so I'll try to quickly address them here. Someone asked if I was cheating. I understand why you asked that. I never came out and said it in the post, but let me assure you, no, I'm not cheating. I never have. Granted, those are just words, and I'm sure some will think that I'm lying. But I love my wife. I never wanted to cheat. I'm not a saint. I've been attracted to people. I think Salma Hayek is gorgeous. However, the thought of cheating has never crossed my mind. A lot of people think she's cheating on me. Again, I don't think so. She's home every night at the same time, and she doesn't hide away her devices. Could there be someone at work? Yes. Do I think she's cheating? No. But as many pointed out, those are famous last words. Regarding divorce and staying calm, I have PTSD. I've worked a lot in therapy over the years to process intense emotions. The talk to my lawyer comment was one of those moments that I didn't process well. I don't think it's a good idea to divorce her after over a decade together because of this past month. On the other hand, I know that since it's not a safe place for me mentally, I'll stay at my parents' house until we resolve this. Could it be hormones? Yes, it could. However, my wife is already taking hormones because of a medical procedure she had when she was in her early 30s. As I mentioned, having kids wasn't in the cards for us. She has to see the doctor usually every 6 months to check her levels. Her last appointment was in March. However, her mood changes started before that. Mental health issues, this is what I personally think it is. Grace has been building up to burnout for a while now. These mood changes started some time ago. It's why I brought up taking time off work. It's also why I mentioned it again last month when she blew up at me. I believe this is stress. It's why I haven't actually contacted a lawyer because I hope my marriage can be saved. I think I just wanted reassurance from a neutral third party because I'm so far out of my depth here. To those who say not to get my mom involved, my mom already is involved. She and Grace are incredibly close. She's called Grace every day to check on her. Grace has no contact with her own family, so I'm not really involving my mom as much as I'm just asking her to suggest marriage counseling to Grace the next time she calls. I certainly don't want to get another party involved in this, so I'm not going to contact a friend to talk to my wife. I haven't been no contact with my wife since I left. I probably should have clarified that. She messages me. Sometimes it's the same silly stuff we've always talked about, like random memes she's found or things her coworkers are doing, and sometimes it's her begging me to just tell her the truth. I'm exhausted mentally from all of this and at the end of my rope. I've suggested therapy a couple of times already, but that's gone nowhere. Hopefully, my mom bringing it up might help. Why the throwaway account? Because my coworkers also have Reddit accounts, and I don't want them to see this post. They might find it anyway, but hopefully, software guy in his 40s with a wife in nursing is generic enough for American audiences that they won't know it's me. If it's on my actual account, they definitely will know. No one at work knows about this situation, and I'd like to keep it that way. I think that's everything. However, please don't disparage my wife. I'm upset over this because she is a great woman, smart, funny, and sweet, and she's been a wonderful mother. That's why I've been worried about her these past few months. This behavior is so out of character for her. User Traveling Photo Dude said, I wonder if she fell for the scam your husband is cheating text that's been going around. They typically claim to have been cheating with your husband and usually ask for money in exchange for proof. She received the text and thinks it's proof that the other woman did cheat with her husband, and now she's waiting for the proof, which is why she hasn't provided it. This has become a common scam lately. The proof will never come if they pay for it. They just get dragged along for a while. To this, OP said, this is something I never even thought of, so I will definitely look into it. Thank you. I had no idea this was even a thing, but it would explain why she hasn't shown me the proof yet because she's waiting for it. Sam said, there's more to the story as you obviously know, but without knowing what it is, it's difficult to advise. It could be that someone from your past is sabotaging you. They could have mocked up any sort of proof these days. With AI, it is crazy easy. There could be some mental illness at play, so marriage counseling would be good as a professional can try to help you guys get through this. There could be some physical illness at play, either making her more insecure or even a brain tumor or something, which is making her paranoid. I'd suggest she speaks to a doctor first of all if she won't speak to you. Update. I don't have the energy or patience to go back to AITAH, so I am just doing this here. A quick and dirty update. No, my wife is not cheating on me. As far as I know, she's not sick, doesn't have a tumor, or is showing signs of early dementia. If she were, those things would be easier to process. Maybe it's perimenopause or menopause, I don't know. I don't care. Yes, I will be seeking a divorce. No, I will not go into it further. I have already spoken to a lawyer. Maya is currently living with me and my parents. I will be looking for an apartment or condo to rent soon. I feel like I've overstayed my welcome. Maya is thinking of taking some time off to visit her dad. I don't blame her. I'm a complete mess right now. I don't even know why I logged back into this account other than to say no, my wife really wasn't cheating on me. I can honestly say I wish she was. It would be so much easier than this situation. Thanks for the advice and the concern. Update 2. I saw my wife earlier today. I wanted to sit down and start talking about what divorce was going to look like between us. We have over a decade of our finances, our home, our lives intermingled. I have been paying for Maya's school. It's her job that we get most of our insurance coverage from. I put the down payment on our house, but she's paid off just as much of it as I have. We'll have lawyers do all this, but at the same time, I just wanted to look at her and make her see what she was doing. Divorce isn't just a word, it's a real concrete thing. The lives that we have been living are over as we know them. We're not old. It's not like we can't move on from this, but at the same time, I've been her husband for so long, I don't know who I am without her. When I got home, I started drinking and I haven't stopped all evening, which is stupid. Don't do what I did. I just couldn't stop. I kept seeing her sitting across from me, refusing to look at me. I don't know her anymore, and I'm not sure if I ever did. My therapist talks about masking, right? Because of the PTSD and ADHD and such, I mask a lot with coworkers or clients or whatever, but I never had to mask at home. And now I'm wondering if this entire marriage she was just masking being happy with me. Was she miserable the whole time? Did she pick me because I was stable and a good father figure to Maya? I'm not ugly, I'm not handsome either. Our sex life was good, but was it? Was she just doing it because she learned all that stuff as a kid that she had to please her husband? I feel sick. I feel like I abused her because I don't know how much of it was her and how much was just the programming she went through in that church. And Maya, Christ, Maya is just, she's not great. She's trying so hard to be stoic and strong, but she's my baby girl. I taught her how to fish and she's better at it than I am. She taught me how to knit when I was having trouble with work during the pandemic and struggling with the lockdown. She's such an amazing kid and she's hurting and I hate Julie for that. I hate her for hurting our kid, but I love her and that hurts too. I don't know what the point of this was. I came back to read over the theories about her cheating on me or menopause. I thought what we had was fixable. I thought if I worked at it, we could change things. and it's just over. It's so final. Let that be a lesson. Sometimes things just end, and there is nothing any of us can do about it. Update 3, I planned on updating last night before bed, but I fell asleep quite early. So here's a quick and dirty update before coffee and work. First, I officially met with a lawyer last week. From what she said, it will take about 10 to 20 business days before my ex-wife will be properly served. Beyond that, it could take anywhere from a couple of months to over a year, depending on how complicated untangling our finances is. I am no longer in contact with my ex, and neither is Maya. She has texted me a few times, sometimes accusing me of not being man enough to be a proper husband, and sometimes sending me cute cat pictures. It's like I see the person I married in there, but for the most part, she seems to be gone. I've received a few different messages, and as I'm not the best at replying to strangers, I'll try to address them here. No, I'm not gonna have my ex-wife committed. I know the version of Christianity she's involved with is cult-like. It demands obedience in all forms and punishes anyone who steps outside of that. She certainly has religious trauma, but she's also an adult and not psychotic, as one person so eloquently put it. I think that if she were to ever get proper help, she might be able to move on from the trauma. But no one can force her to do that. I know I tried for years to talk her into therapy. I'm not abusing alcohol or becoming an alcoholic. I got drunk one night, which I don't recommend to anyone. I haven't really done that much since my early 20s, and it was a very uncomfortable experience. I forgot how awful it is to feel so numb, yet feel everything so intensely. Don't worry, I'm not going to fall off some sort of edge into an addict's abyss. If anything, that just cemented why I don't drink more than a beer or two at a barbecue. I can't get custody of Maya because she's an adult. I pay for her college, and I'm going to continue to do so. She's my little girl, no matter how old she gets, and she'll always have a home with me. As for Maya, she's officially put a pause on school this semester. She's going to stay with her father for a month, travel around Europe for another month, and then hopefully be back before Thanksgiving, no later than Christmas. I'm apprehensive about her traveling around Europe by herself. I know people do it every day, but they're not my kids. She is. So I worry. I still haven't found a place. I looked at some rentals, but my parents reminded me that it would be better to buy if I can find something small enough. So right now, I'm looking at various condos in my price range. A condo feels more manageable than a house. Depending on where I am in the divorce, when I finally find something and get offers accepted, my parents will front me the costs, and I can pay them back over the next year or two. I guess the only shocking update I have is from our mutual friends. I found out from a few of them that my ex-wife had just cut them off or told them we didn't want their friendships. Since my ex and I were pretty much attached at the hip, they didn't think to ask me if that was true. Or maybe I was so distracted with my own issues and with my ex having such a difficult time that I didn't notice they had stopped coming around, texting, or left group chats or whatever. I need to take more responsibility there. I wasn't paying attention to anything but my ex. I didn't notice just how stressed Maya was. I knew she was tense, but I didn't realize how bad it had gotten. I didn't notice our friends slowly disappearing. I didn't notice changes in my own behavior. That's the insidious part. We were circling the drain back in January, but I was clinging to this hope that if I just got my ex some help, things would mend themselves. Now, Maya is so stressed she doesn't want to go back to school. My work has suffered, though thankfully my boss has been very understanding. My friendships need to be repaired, and I don't even know where to start getting them to trust me again. That's it. Everything feels like it's moving at a snail's pace, and I just want everything to be over with. Yet, everything feels like it's rushing by and still turning my life upside down. I know it will eventually even itself out. Things will get better, or at the very least, I'll no longer feel like I'm stuck in a tumble dryer with sneakers. Update 4. The divorce papers have been served this past Wednesday. Grace didn't take it well. There were several angry phone calls that I ignored, and one I finally took. She accused me of turning Maya against her, as if calling her own daughter a whore wasn't enough on its own. We hashed out the whole cheating thing again. She waved it off. Evidently, to her, the accusation wasn't that serious, and I should have forgiven her for her mistake. Instead, I've abandoned her, which I guess in some ways is true. I left. But I don't know what she wanted. I don't know what she thought was going to happen. I still don't understand the end game here. Her family's goals, sure. They wanted to split us up, and they succeeded beautifully. But what did she think was going to happen? She said I wasn't a real man. A real man wouldn't have let her work, I guess. Once again, I pointed out that I told her multiple times she could quit her job, but that fell on deaf ears. She made it abundantly clear that she's going to fight me on every bit of this divorce, so there goes any hope for something as simple and clean as possible. She's told me she's already looking for other men to replace me, but almost in the same breath told me that I can't divorce her. Because of her reaction, I have put on hold any thoughts about buying a place. My parents are thinking of buying a cabin near a lake, and if they do that, then I can eventually buy their current home. But until then, I will be looking for an apartment. I need the space. I can't keep tripping over them. I love them to death, but they're hovering because they're worried. I just want some quiet and some time to myself. Maya left for her dad's. She arrived last Monday and we FaceTimed twice already. She's enjoying the time away from her mom and away from the drama. I told her to go and enjoy herself and that things are fine here, but I think she's worried about me too. So we set up Sunday nights to be our weekly Skype call. Some of my friends have been bugging me to go out or start a dating profile, and some friends have been making me random food items. I appreciate the food a lot. I've probably gained 5 pounds just from the jams alone. My friend Heather made me homemade apple butter, and quite frankly, I ate it all in 2 days. It was amazing. I'm staying away from dating. I'll try to stay away from the apple butter as well. Update 5. My soon-to-be ex-wife and I are going through an acrimonious divorce. I had divorce papers served this past week and she didn't take it well. After a really angry phone call from her, I thought that was that. However, I got an email from my boss this evening about some concerns he had. Quick history. I didn't have Facebook, but my wife did. She was the more social of us two and kept up with group chats and whatnot via various social media platforms. I knew that some of my coworkers and their spouses had become friends with her online because sometimes we all went out to dinners, and that's how we set up group dates. I never really thought about it until the email from my boss. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, I'm just not sure what I need to include. Before I left my wife, she accused me of cheating, which I had not done. Then she accused me of sleeping with her daughter, who I raised since childhood. She's my daughter too, as far as I'm concerned. That was the last straw, and I filed for divorce. My ex announced our divorce on a Facebook post, claiming that she left me because I abused her and our daughter, and that my daughter has left the country because she's so ashamed. From what I gather, my coworker's wife saw it, she told him, he told my boss told me. There have to be steps I can take, but I have no idea what they are. My boss, thankfully, knows me and knows it's not true, but I have no idea how this is going to impact my job, what my coworkers think, what their spouses think. It's just one terrible moment after another, and I don't know what to do. I made a Facebook account and reported the post, but I have no idea if that's going to go anywhere. I've emailed my attorney, but it's Sunday, so I won't hear back from them until at least tomorrow, but possibly not for a couple of days. Is there anything else I can do?